All right. Again, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. My name is Amanda Miller. If you keep in touch on our YouTube channel, then you see my face twice a week. I am so thrilled to be able to be the person to be the first one to welcome you. If you would tell me where you're visiting from, how you're getting together with us tonight. I'm personally in Washington State. I know that you're going to get to meet some of our other staff tonight that maybe you've seen their face around or maybe you haven't from all over the world. So that's exciting. Before I jump into passing you on to the man of the evening, I want to tell you how I know him personally. So I currently work with Dawson. He hired me, but that's not where we started. So I was in Donna Eden's certification program, and they're good friends with Dawson. And so they mentioned him and his program, and it sparked something in me. And I follow my intuition pretty strongly. So I looked into him, and I was reading a book that he had written on EFT. And I remember it clear as day. I was in my living room. I thought I was in a relaxed position, and he started talking about PTSD and the symptoms. And as I read through the list, I realized I had every single one of them. And that I was, my jaw was locked, my muscles were clenched. And I was very aware of where my daughter was in our house on this casual summer day, just in case I needed to grab her and run. And that really shook my world. So I decided I really need to invest in this right now as well. I need to understand this better. I went to a counselor, was diagnosed with complex PTSD. I attended it was a 5-day workshop just because it was at Omega in New York, and learned there that all of the things that I thought were broken and that I just had to live with in my life, and that I was kind of stunted in where I could go, were normal according to what I had been through in my life, and that they were adjustable and even resolvable. That was a highly impactful moment in my life. I felt empowered for the first time, quite possibly ever, really. So I invested in certification, and 4 months after my 5-day workshop with Dawson, I agreed to go on a work trip to Paris. And the biggest limiting belief I had was that I'm not safe. And I wasn't safe anywhere. If I was going from my house to the car, maybe there was a loose dog in the neighborhood and maybe it was going to try and attack me. And, how would I protect me and my daughter, in that space of time? And if we went to the grocery store, maybe someone had a gun. And if we were in our house, maybe someone was looking at our house to break in. And I never felt safe anywhere. So for me to agree to this work trip by itself was monumental. But I really had a witness to how far I had come in my tapping when we were going to get on the tube in Paris. And that's a bit of a hectic experience. And I got on and no one else in my group did. And I was there with a group of people where I knew the people who were leading the group, and that was it. I don't know any French, and I didn't really know the name of our hotel because French word, and I didn't retain it in my brain. And I looked down at my phone as I can see, my group through the closed doors, and I have no service. So, and I don't know where we were going. I don't have directions. I didn't have the name of it. So I was as lost could be. And I felt fine. I felt perfectly safe. I knew the area well enough. We'd been there a few times that I was likely not going to run into any trouble, that I knew that I could generally get myself back to the place where the hotel was and find the right door to go into. And I had never been in that space before ever in my life. So I really right there gained a solid belief in what this work can do. And since then, what I've experienced as a practitioner, sitting with other people in front of me in that moment for themselves, just amplified. So incredibly powerful. I'm so grateful to be a part of this work. So After I graduated, I went to Dawson and I said, Dawson, I'm going to miss you. Can we please work together? And he said, absolutely. How about you make videos? And so there you go. There's the full circle of how I became a part of the EFTU family. So I will go ahead and pass you over to Dawson. For those of you who don't know Dawson very well, I'm going to take a minute because he's a very humble man. He doesn't brag about himself, but he's really accomplished quite a few beautiful things for this type of work. So I'm going to give you a few of what he's done. He is the founder of what's called the National Institute of Integrative Healthcare, or the NIIH. He's the author of many, many books, two being best-selling books, Genie in Your Genes and Bliss Brain. And he has shared the stage with some of very well-known top transformational leaders of our time, which include Joe Dispenza, Marianne Williamson, Tony Robbins, Donnie Eden, David Asprey, and Jack Canfield. The largest program of the foundation that Dawson has founded, the NIIH, the biggest thing that they've done is called the Veteran Stress Project. And that offers free tapping sessions for veterans with PTSD. And to date, they've offered over 21,000 out to our veterans who are deeply in need. So Dawson is truly driven by a passion to give practical solutions to easing suffering. He's been the primary investigator in over 20 scientific studies of energy psychology, as well as EFT. Twice he has been invited to testify before the U.S. Congressional Committee. So as CEO of EFT Universe, for us, he manages the largest EFT training and certification organization in the world. He's trained over 5,000 practitioners just over the last few years. He sets such high standards for the training that his program is accredited for continued medical education for doctors through the American Medical Association, and psychologists through the American Psychological Association, and nurses through the American Nursing Credentialing Commission. So if that ticks any boxes for you, then woohoo. He's also playing a central role in bringing energy therapies into primary care settings, like the Veterans Administration and even the Kaiser healthcare system. How exciting is that to hear? So for more than 10 years, our tapping solution has been the biggest donor to Dawson's nonprofit, the NIIH. And with that, I will let him speak for himself. So Dawson, if you will please join us. It's wonderful to have you here, and I can't wait to hear your voice and your laugh.
Oh, thank you so much, Amanda. And I love being here. And all of this is just structure, but it all comes from the heart. It all comes from passion. It all comes from just moving with what you believe is important. And I know that for people getting certified, for people considering a change of career, for people wanting to do EFT professionally, it's a matter of heart. I ask people when they get involved with the EFT universe, what brought them to doing what they do? And like you, it's making those personal discoveries and wanting to share them. And so that sense of heart, that sense of community, that sense of connection really pervades everything we do. And you'll get a real picture of that as we share our time together this evening. You'll really see that this is pervasive in everything we do, and that we're not just a few people, we're a whole community of practice, that we're part of the whole movement toward energy healing, toward the realization that when you change your energy, you change the stuff of your body. And then we have all of these things in which we clothe that realization, and these techniques we use to actually apply that with people and offer to people who are suffering. And those techniques really work. So it's been just a thrill to see over the last while how this whole field of energy healing has gone from being really isolated pockets of people a few decades ago now to a systematic practice that people can pick up and learn step by step by step. So you'll meet various key people over the course of our time together. You will see what they do and how they perceive themselves in the EFT universe and their healing practice, and how we can all make magic together. So the whole external setup is there to learn, to get certified, and it all stems from that desire to have a wonderful life for yourself, for other people, and to lift that burden of suffering in the world. I'm going to go ahead and share a few of the key characteristics of the certification program with you. These ideas come from many people, many thousands of practitioners, tens of thousands of hours spent with other people, and really seeing what works. We know that if you move through this system, that you will emerge a capable and confident practitioner. You'll also meet several of our practitioners over the course of our time together. I'm going to share my screen for a moment here and show you what the structure is. Again, you have seen this in different places, different ways, but I want to just give you a quick recap of the why of each of these components of certification. Start with why. Why do we have each of these things as a part of certification? I won't take long about it. This is all on the website. Check out the frequently asked questions below the website. You'll see them all there, those there as well. But just the why of each of these modules and why it's structured this way, what the flow is like. So I'm going to share my screen over here for a moment. And then let's take a look at the why. So first of all, in Module 1, we give you a video course called The Genetics of Personal Transformation. Transformation has been thought of for a long time as something psychological, earlier something spiritual. And we now know it's affecting us down to the level of our hormones, our neurotransmitters, and the genes in our cells. We teach you about this because it's so exciting to realize that this is based in solid science. Then Module 2 is the practice of energy psychology and EFT and the 48 techniques of clinical EFT. So you walk through those one by one, and they're grouped into logical sequences of techniques, and you learn what those techniques are. We apply this to EFT, but a lot of the scientific principles here are applicable to all of energy psychology, all of energy medicine, all of healing. Then in Module 3, we give you a video course in professional ethics. And this isn't a set of rules and regulations. When I was growing up in church, I was hammered with the 10 commandments. Thou shalt do this, thou shalt not do that. So when I first heard professional ethics, I was like, whoa, I don't want to see Moses descending from Mount Sinai with a bunch of rules for me over here. And it's not like that at all. We take practical examples of issues that arise in any healing practice. When you work with one person in a family and you learn something confidential about another person in the family, what happens? There are all these practice dilemmas, and we help you identify what those are and become an educated practitioner before you run into those in your professional life. It's a really powerful course. Then we have the psychology of coaching, and this is hands down the best course in coaching psychology there is, because we designed it that way. We actually looked at all the other big courses in coaching psychology out there, and we then designed ours to bring in neuroscience and practical case histories and all kinds of things based on the history of psychology, the history of coaching, that are found nowhere else in a package like this. You will become a confident and competent coach in Module 4. Then in Module 5, you'll see some practical videos of cases and also take our 4-day professional skills training. It's a wonderful and powerful course, and it gives you practice in those 48 clinical EFT techniques live with a trainer, live with other students. After that, you start working with practice clients. You might be pulling in your friends. You might be tapping on your family members. And you also might be working with people in your certification group. We actually have a special Facebook group where people can connect together and swap sessions. You're doing all of this under the guidance of a mentor. And I can't stress enough how important mentoring is. I'm actually going to have you speak in a moment with Kurt Anderson, who is our certification coordinator. And you will find that we really make sure you're nurtured and supported as you now apply all this theoretical knowledge you have to your first group of practice clients. You'll also do personal work. You'll work on your own issues and just identifying what your issues are. What are you really good at? What are you weak at? And then working on those things systematically with the guidance of your mentor. We also have live calls. We have an online community. We have a skills practice call every month. We have a question and answer call every month. And then we also have one-on-one support where you're actually connecting with your mentor. And then mentoring is broken into four different phases, 3 that are highly structured. The 4th is free form, where you and your mentor agree what needs to happen next. I'll let Kurt share more about that with you. So I'd love to introduce Kurt. Kurt Anderson has 20 years in education, and you'll find he has a passion for helping people acquire knowledge and do it quickly, efficiently, and effectively. He has a master's degree in curriculum instruction. He's spent 10 years specializing in adult learning and mentoring. He now combines that with the EFT curriculum and has been certified in both EFT and energy psychology. So you'll find that as he brings this wealth of instruction to the mentoring process and to the curriculum, it's a powerful combination that really helps us learn and learn quickly. Welcome, Kurt.
Hi. Hello, hello.
Yep, you're unmuted, and I'm just going to spotlight you so that you're in the center there. Good.
Wonderful. Hello, my name is Kurt Anderson, and I'm here to talk to you about mentoring. And I really feel that the big distinction in this program and this certification compared to other online certifications is in the one-to-one connection that you receive from being live and connected to an actual mentor. So when you go through this certification, there's going to be a lot of online learning. There's going to be a lot of online quizzes. But when you get to the point when you actually start to practice this stuff with real people who are going through real issues and sometimes really traumatic issues, EFT and the accompanying techniques will help. And it's not expected of you to be able to move from reading things online and passing quizzes and even attending workshops to being able to go in front of a real person and help them process a traumatic event, a traumatic issue that's really negatively impacted their life for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, that work is not easy to do, but that work is possible with the theoretical language and knowledge that comes from the first 4 modules. But then you have to talk that through with somebody. You got to do the work. You got to struggle a little bit. And that's where the one-to-one connection with a real mentor comes in. And there are 4 modules in mentoring. Let me just briefly explain what they are. Number 1, mentoring module 1 is from general to specific. So there's a lot of tapping scripts that are out there via apps and YouTube channels, and they're good. And they do help people. And anybody putting those things out is somebody who's putting things out into the world to help and to heal. And we respect that here. But if you want to make real progress, and if you want to like be able to move through your specific issue, you can't get that from a tapping script. It has to go to specific events. It has to go to specific aspects, specific emotions. Where do you feel that in your body? Like, when's the first time you felt that? Like, you need somebody to guide you through that. And mentoring module 1 does that for you. And then we move into mentoring module 2. And mentoring module 2 is all about techniques for trauma. I mean, you're going to work with people who have experienced some extraordinarily difficult things in their life. And they're going to struggle with those memories. They've been repressing those memories. They've been pushing back those memories for a long, long time. And how do you guide them to be able to access them, to process them, to move through them, to become the person that they always thought that it could be, and they always could be? Well, there are specific techniques that help with that, and you'll learn about that in mentoring module 2. And then when you get done with mentoring module 2, you're going to go into mentoring module 3. And mentoring module 3, that's your professional practice module. So we aligned, what does a person who makes money, what does a person who does this stuff as a full-time like practitioner, like what are the typical types of cases that they see? What do they do when somebody comes to them? What are the typical things that show up? And we aligned all of those into your professional practice. So you get practice at all of the things that you are most likely going to see if, you know, when you're a certified practitioner. What are the types of things that you're going to deal with and encounter and help people with? And that's mentoring module 3. And then my personal favorite, what I like the best, is mentoring module 4, because mentoring module 4 has a lot of flexibility. If there's anything that didn't like quite click for you in 1, 2, and 3, it's okay, because we got 4. And if everything clicked for you in 1, 2, and 3, it's even better, because we got 4. And 4 is where we start to guide you towards, like, who are you going to serve? What are you going to do? What's going to be your unique application of EFT? Because we do not believe that emotional freedom techniques has a monopoly on healing. We believe that it has a connection to several different modalities and several different approaches and several different things that can be highly beneficial. And we respect all that stuff. And so if you come here with interest, you come here with other knowledge bases, like in mentoring module 4, we get to talk about, like, how does it all fit together? How does it all flow together? And you get a single person that connects with you to do that. And I can't express to you how much that meant to me when I went through certification, to have somebody, like a real person, a live person that was mine, that I had to talk to, that I had to connect with. It was extraordinarily important. And I think it sets us apart. And I hope that when you join, that's a big reason. And I want it to be a big reason, because it really does. It matters, and it matters a lot. And with that, I would like to introduce some of our mentors who are here right now. And I would like them to just briefly introduce themselves and talk about, like, their experience with EFT. We want to keep that relatively short, because I feel like I rambled on way too long. And after that, like, we'll open it up to Q's and A's. So my screen sharing is disabled. So can we send it to Miriam or Selena or Mariana, and Karina, who are all here?
Okay, I just made screen sharing universal, so we can all share screens now.
All right, well, let's go with Miriam.
Thank you, Kurt. It's such a pleasure to be here. Hi, I'm Miriam. I'm an EFT practitioner and also a mentor in EFT Universe with a focus on deep trauma or complex PTSD, as well as ancestral and generational healing work. I also actually certified with EFT Universe not too long ago, and I'm tremendously passionate about this work as well as this amazing community. And I cannot emphasize enough the amount of in-depth training I have received, especially within this comprehensive mentoring process, actually with Kurt. And actually the research from my PhD and my book is also deeply informed by EFT and the process of moving through pain in order to release it. I actually work on the embodiment of trauma before, during, after birth, and with a special attention on Black and Indigenous women and women of color. And the main reason why I chose to certify was because EFT, especially among other therapeutic and somatic healing modalities, has been an absolute game changer in my own journey, healing from complex PTSD, very similar to what Amanda just described. And it has, in fact, also helped me to embrace my journey and my experience as an asset to me being able to give now. And again, it has been just a great honor being part of this amazing community, and it's a pleasure to be a mentor for EFT Universe. Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
So I can go next. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Selena Tonkin, and I am in Melbourne, Australia. And being a mentor, it's one of my most fulfilling aspects of my professional career. So many years ago, I suffered from terrible migraines. I was hospitalized 3 times. And at that stage, I was NLP trainer and clinical hypnotherapist, and nothing could help me with the migraines. And then one of the trainers, Jenny Johnson, who is a trainer in EFT Universe, she introduced me to EFT, and I was like, how could this weird thing actually help me with this serious problem? But out of desperation, I tried it, and I have no migraines since. And if I have any indications of migraine, I know what to do. Immediately go to tapping. So after that experience, I thought I have to become a practitioner. And my career has skyrocketed. I have co-written a book, EFT for Introverts, with Dr. Peter Stapleton. And I have given workshops around the world, like China, Israel, Europe. And, I have no hesitation talking about EFT to anyone or presenting in front of anyone, because I got such a solid training in this school with the curriculum, with the mentoring, with the community, with the support. And possibility for joint ventures, with other members in the community. So right now, my focus is to work with EFT and imposter syndrome, EFT and wealth creation, and weight management. And also I have the privilege to be assisting with the EFT and pain management at Bond University. There's research done currently at Bond University by Dr. Peter Stapleton, which shows amazing results for EFT for pain. So, for those of you, I acknowledge you for being here. Being here shows that you are committed to find out more about this school and what we offer. And I, would encourage you, don't wait. Like if you're thinking, I don't have the money, or like I don't have the time, or I don't have the confidence, don't wait to resolve those issues before you register. Register, do the program, and all those issues will transform. So your personal life will transform and you'll become a very masterful EFT practitioner. So I'm looking forward to meet you, so many of you, inside of the school. That's all from me for now.
I'll follow on those heels, Selena. I think one of the last things that you pointed out, the lack of confidence, that speaks to me. It's one of the reasons I think I came to EFT. I found EFT when I was a student in undergrad, and although I had grown up with holistic health and healing, it became one of my tools that I used to help with exam stress and presentation anxiety, and among other things along the way that it helped with in terms of, immediate first aid from burns in the kitchen and stuff. But the bigger issues of presentation anxiety, which I know I'm not alone with. And along the way, and along with other tools, but EFT was a big help in getting to the point where I could actually step on the TEDx stage and do a talk. Never did I think that that was possible, and EFT was a tool, and doing the certification in clinical EFT was a tool that I always like to say I had at my fingertips to help with the nerves before, during, and after a presentation. And a presentation like that definitely brought up a lot of nerves. And that kind of made me all the more passionate to join and journey with the other mentors and become a mentor for EFT Universe, because I really want other people to feel empowered to have those tools at their fingertips as well, whether it is presentation anxiety or whether it's another issue that you're dealing with in your life. You know that you have a tool that you can tap through that issue and clear the blocks that are preventing you from sharing your light more beautifully and brightly with the world. And that's part of my journey, and I'm so passionate about helping other people discover and shine their light more brightly, and I hope you'll do that by joining the certification process, and maybe you'll be one of my mentees. I'd love to journey with you.
Wow, these are bright lights. Thank you so much. Wow. I
guess I can go next. How do I
I've got you spotlighted, Mariana.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Mariana Gyokas, and I'm one of the mentors. I got into EFT after I was diagnosed with cancer, and I was going through my whole anxiety journey, being diagnosed and going through all the procedures and the treatments, and EFT was a great help for me. That's how I got introduced to it. And after I saw the magnificent results that EFT had for myself, I decided to pursue the EFT certification through EFT Universe. Dawson was my trainer initially. And I loved the program. And I have to say, mentoring was my favorite part of the program, because it creates a safe space for everyone to practice, to learn, to make mistakes, to learn from mistakes. And then you get out of that program feeling a lot more confident to go out there and really practice. So when I got the opportunity to become a mentor, I was ecstatic. I love it. I love guiding people through this process and getting to know each student and their individual needs, and really helping them go step by step through the process. So I think, yes, I agree with Kurt that the mentoring process of this program is something that definitely differentiates it from many other ones. So I'm also obviously an EFT practitioner, and in the last couple of years, I have focused on working mostly with mothers of young children, helping them get over issues like fears and guilt, self-esteem, and really help them feel more confident and empowered as women as well. So I encourage you to really sign up for this program. It's an excellent program. You'll feel very qualified once you're done with it. And I look forward to meeting some of you in the EFT community. Okay, I don't know who's left.
I believe that's me. So what I want to talk to you about before we start to answer questions is, like, how will you feel as a practitioner moving forward? When you enroll in this, are you going to be capable of standing in front of somebody on Zoom or in person and having them reveal like severely traumatic events to you, and have them reveal the things that they're struggling with the most? And are you going to be capable of being that person who's able to guide them, who's able to hold that space, who's able to do that stuff? And what I would like to say is that, like, I didn't know if I could do that. And it was, you know, I knew I wanted to change in my professional career, and I knew I wanted it to be something different. But man, like, I was scared when it was going to be my turn to stand up in front of somebody who's gone through like legitimate trauma. And after completing my certification and after going through mentoring, I'm not scared about that anymore. I know how to stand in front of somebody. I know how to guide them, and I know the stuff that has been proven by double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials that does work. And I've actually lived it, done it, and helped people. And I would not have been capable of that without this program, without Dawson's help, without my mentor's help, without those things. And they meant so much to me. And they could potentially mean so much to you. And it can be you. You can do it. It's not going to be easy. Like, you're going to have to work. And you're going to be put in uncomfortable positions. You're going to do things that you didn't think you were capable of before. Because anything that's worth doing is hard. You know, you don't get anything for free. Nothing comes for free. And this doesn't come for free either. But in my personal opinion, and in my experience, and the people I've worked with, I truly believe that it's worth it. I mean, I'm here because it's worth it. And I'm incapable of like making things up. So like, you're gonna get honesty from me whether you like it or not, you know. So
Too funny.
yeah. So Dawson, I'll turn it over to you, and let's do some Q&A. But like, if you're out there and you're watching, like, I went from like not being able to connect to other human beings to be able to guide other human beings through their deepest traumatic events, and it came from this, and not from me. It came from this and the techniques. So I'll stop talking now, and I'll let everybody else go. All right.
I remember we had one practitioner who learned all the techniques, went through the whole program, and then the day arrived when she had her very first actual client. And she posted in the Facebook group about how nervous she was. She was a classical violinist. That was her previous career. Nothing to do with healing at all. And so finally, she'd learned all the techniques and been through the mentoring, and now as the very first client, she posted in the Facebook group, she said, I'm so nervous. I'm actually going to be doing this with a real live person here for the very first time. And we were all, Jenny, you can do it. We know you can do it. And then later on that day, she posted again, I just did the techniques I learned in the course and it worked. And what you'll find is that they do work. You just apply these things mechanically. We, in the 4-day workshop, we train you in just using simple techniques. You'll find simple techniques work most of the time. If they don't, you're going to need other things. If you're working with a client who's traumatized, if you're working with a client who doesn't appear traumatized at first, like, Amanda, when you first told me that you were so highly traumatized, you seem so functional that I don't know if when you're the practitioner, you don't know what lies below the surface, but then you learn, and then you discover you have a rich array of techniques, and they apply to dissociation. They apply to early childhood trauma. They apply to birth, pre-birth, womb trauma. There are all kinds of specialized techniques we train you in, and you'll like that first practitioner session. You will apply them, and you'll be amazed. They just work. So you'll see this for yourself in your own experience with the people you work with. But Amanda, I'd love to have you just, I know when you were sharing last week about how the 3 people you'd worked with most recently and the breakthroughs they'd had, I was so touched by that. I'd love just to have you share a little bit about your journey as a practitioner.
Yeah, I would love to. How do I get my face on the screen?
You're on.
Oh, you can see me? I see you. I hear my voice, but I don't see me.
I'm going to make you, I'll spotlight you. There we go.
There we go. Okay, that works.
Good.
Thank you. Not my forte, but technology, other people got it. Thank you. Yeah, as a practitioner, so I had started diving into energy medicine when I became an EFT practitioner. And what was interesting to me is that there's a lot of misconceptions about EFT out there that even in the energy world don't understand what's possible with EFT. And I learned that and felt so empowered. When I came to my first session, I too was worried that I was going to be nervous and, oh no, is it going to be different? And I had a muscle memory from that mentoring process. And I've worked with people from every slice of life. I've worked with military, I've worked with moms, I've worked with men and women, I've worked with teenagers, I've worked with young children, people with current trauma, something that had just happened, people who really old trauma, both. The people that Dawson was mentioning, two teenage girls and one ER doc are the people that I've seen most recently. Just struggling, I mean, the whole world is kind of there. We're all hanging in, and we all kind of hit those spaces where we just really need something extra. And so these people had reached out to me, and wasn't their first session, and not any of them. So they knew the process. We'd already gotten to a good place. I had a few of them fire me, which is such an amazing feeling to have a client go, you know what, I think I'm good. Like, can I call you if I need something more? But I'm going to go do fun stuff. That's an amazing moment. But they were all in pretty dire spots. And just watching someone go from that at the beginning of the an hour, and all of them were on Zoom, and just giving them back those techniques and guiding them. When you're the person, even if you know EFT, trying to be both a practitioner and the client can be really tricky. So having that person there to guide you is really key. And that's where this becomes a beautiful service that you're offering, even to someone who knows EFT really well. And to watch them go from this space of really, like, one person I thought I was going to have to call, not authorities, but yeah, get someone else involved, because I was really concerned about where this person was mentally. But go in an hour to a place where all 3 of them were fine. they were stable. They had relief on their faces. They felt empowered again. They had perspective on life again. They had the ability to breathe, and being in that hot seat, to know that I was the person that popped into their mind when they said, I'm not okay right now, and I need someone, that they had that confidence in me and that I could deliver that to them. That's my life goal. Like, that's my life mission. So yeah, this has really, really been a beautiful process for me as a person and for me as a practitioner, and continues to give me both all the time.
It is so heartwarming, and it's also transformative for you as the practitioner. We've done quite a bit of research on this phenomenon called borrowing benefits. And I know I used to do energy healing many, many years before I learned EFT. And when I would finish a day of work as an energy healer, I'd be wiped out. I mean, I would be exhausted. When I learned EFT, I could do a 12-hour day, which I do sometimes with clients, and I felt fine after that. So you find that it's really helping you shift, balance yourself, clear. As you work with people, you aren't taking on their trauma, you aren't re-traumatizing yourself or getting vicarious trauma from them, as so many nurses, doctors, therapists, others do in the helping professions. So I'm going to leave it at that in terms of our comments. I'm going to be looking at some of the questions now in YouTube chat and asking some of our mentors to actually comment on those questions and give us some of the answers. I'm going to take a couple myself. So, wow, these are great questions. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm just going to answer one from Stacy. Does this program provide me with certification to train psychologists, therapists, and so on? And Stacy, this program is focused on training you to work with other people. Now, you'll do a bunch of work on yourself as well, like those hours of personal work where you'll work on your own issues. But it's primarily focused on having you learn to use the techniques with other people. Those might be people really close to you, could be people in your family circle, could be people you know professionally, but essentially having practice and working with clients. That's the whole orientation of this, to do it with other people. For many people, for many practitioners, that is in a medical office. It might be in a part of a medical practice that has other sorts of stress management tools along with it. Like here where I live in Northern California, there's a wonderful model integrative practice, and they have a practitioner who does EFT along with the doctor, the psychiatrist, the nutritionist, all these other practitioners. It might look like that. We have one practitioner who's doing classes in Kaiser Permanente, another one who's done classes at Cleveland Clinic. So it could be being hired by a hospital system to offer EFT in those contexts. We had one psychologist, she was doing EFT in the Veterans Center here in San Francisco, another one in the Vet Center in Sacramento. And there are many other places in the country as well. I just know my area of Northern California the best. And it might also look like having a private practice where you generate your own clients and you work with people who you know, the word spreads. One of the videos we'll show you later on, not here, but later on before we close notification, is several practitioners who just found themselves having a thriving private practice before even finishing certification. One of them Carolina says, I know I should build a website. I haven't had time yet because I'm attracting so many clients to me. I'm so busy. So we do focus on having you transition into an active practice toward the end of your certification. So Karina, I'm just going to go ahead and put people, mentor names next to these questions. So I'll ask each mentor to answer questions. So Karina, Darcy is asking, do our mentors tap on our issues with us?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we recommend two different avenues. So one is definitely you learn a lot from tapping with certified practitioners, which all of our mentors are. And as you've probably heard from all of our introductions, we have different specialties and avenues that we particularly enjoy helping people with. The other thing that you can do when you're in the certification process is to do swap sessions with other current students in the program, and we have a special Facebook page for that, where you can get the contact details of other current students as well. And that's a nice way of kind of helping each other through the process of, being both the coach and the client, but also doing your personal work as well. So there's two different kind of pathways that we recommend, and I would say a mix of both is going to give you lots of different information and experience while you do your own transformational healing work as well.
Good, thank you. Yeah. And
can I also answer one of the other questions? Because I just saw it come in as well, and I would
Sure.
love to jump in. So there was a question from, and I apologize for the name if I mess it up, Dradaleb. Can we do the live workshops remotely due to COVID concerns? I wanted to answer that specifically because I've been assisting at the live virtual workshops. I think I've assisted at probably half a dozen now over the last year. And I just want to say, yes, you can. And I highly recommend it. So I know we spend a lot of time on the screens these days, but the environment that is created in the live workshops is one of a kind and super special, and is part of the reason why I've attended and assisted at so many of the workshops. It's very unlike any kind of group meeting that you're used to on Zoom. It's really special and really powerful. And so I would say, if that's something that you're hesitating about because you're kind of missing the in-person workshops, the virtual workshops do a wonderful replacement and really provide a really special environment to further deepen and learn the skills that you learn in the certification process and have a practice with them. So Zoom breakout rooms are wonderful to allow those pairings and practice time to deepen your knowledge of the skills. So it's not just theory in those workshops, which is also cool.
And the workshops also are not just translating regular classroom instruction into video format. They are not talking head, the trainer talking to the students. We actually reformatted the whole way we structure the workshops after COVID hit to use the best practices. And we found a group of practices that has been researched by the Harvard Education Department since 2009 called active and collaborative learning. And it lends itself to video training and video learning. We applied those and actually retrained our trainer team to apply these Harvard principles. There are about 32 practices we use as part of that. And so our virtual workshops are a blast. They're highly interactive. You are doing stuff, you're interacting with other people all the time. And you'll find that you're literally glued to the experience from start to finish. So they're powerful, and they're far more than just the regular classroom training transposed to Zoom. I'm just looking at other questions over here. Kurt, Mandy is asking, she's in Argyll, Scotland, where do the 4-day trainings take place?
4-day trainings are going to take place virtually, mostly. There are a few that occur within the United States, but I just went through last week and looked at what this October cohort, like when you're expected to be done with things and when you're going to move forward with things, and talked to Dawson, talked to the other trainers, and are having workshops posted in those specific timeframes for you. And we have workshop postings in the Central or the Pacific and Mountain Time. We're going to have workshops posted in Central and Eastern US time. We're going to have workshops posted in European time from Selena. Thank you, Selena. And we're also going to have workshops posted in Australian time, where Jenny's going to be doing Jenny Johnston's going to be doing a lot of those, but Selena's also from Australia as well. So there's 2 workshops that you're going to attend in certification. One is the 4-day professional skills training where you learn a lot about EFT and how to apply it. And the other one is the 2-day practice intensive, which you do later after you've attempted to apply the things that you learned in the 4-day. So you learn things in the 4-day, you get a mentor, and then you apply it more in the 2-day, and then you talk to a mentor again, and then you leave certification. So times are available no matter where you live in the world. And that progression is intentionally there to help you and guide you through. All right, next question.
Good. Thank you. Okay, so let's, this is for Miriam. And the question is, how do you learn to specialize in a particular kind of client the way you do?
Thank you for this question. I actually had a conversation with a mentee just today about this. And it's probably an individual process, but I think the best possible answer I have is that it happens organically and without pressure. And I felt, I actually felt that within, I went through so much training. I spent 12 years at universities. I did so many trainings and certifications, but actually one of my greatest trainings and my greatest life lessons was actually my life experience of suffering from certain things, of suffering from complex PTSD, of going through abuse and having a heavy history. And I always thought, well, I always thought that's my enemy, but it's actually not. It's actually become my greatest asset. It's actually become my greatest training, and it's taught me so much. So if you look at the things that also interest you the most, that kind of, and that's what's also kind of kept me going. It interested me so much. Is how can we heal from PTSD? How can we move away from this? And this became such a passion that at some point it just happened organically. And it was actually in the mentoring process with my mentor, Kurt, and I haven't even thought about this. And all of a sudden, Kurt just said, well, obviously you're going to work on trauma, right? And I was like, what? I said, well, of course you are. And I was like, actually, that makes total sense. And I think that's how things fall together. And it happens organically. It happens without the pressure of making something up for you, but see what is already within you, within your life experiences, within your life trainings, within the training that life has given you, and that will be your specialty.
Oh, I love that answer, that life has given you your training, that your wound becomes your gift to help other people with. And it's really interesting. I've seen it happen dozens of times, that just organically people's specialization emerges. I can see it when I read the first batch of case histories sometimes from new people, just submitting them. And I see those case histories and I can see those trends and patterns. By mentoring 3 and 4, it's pretty clear what people are being drawn to and how their life gifts of it being translated into a group of people that they serve. So it's less done with the left brain than, again, following your heart. I'm going to just mention a couple of things here and answer the question about, this is Vicky and Denise. Vicky says, how to be at clients. Denise says, how do you support people in the business side in terms of marketing and getting clients? And there are a lot of things that are different about the EFT Universe certification program. And one of them is, I mentioned community at the very beginning here. And I know when I went through certifications before, I got EFT certified and energy psychology certified. I trained in Gestalt therapy for a long time. I did all kinds of other workshops back along the road. And I never felt supported by the organization. I had to kind of figure out, well, what's next after this? I've done this class and I need to go look at their website, read what's next, register for this, then I do that, and then try phone somebody to see what goes next. That is not at all what you'll experience in EFT Universe certification program. What we do is we're nurturing you and we're connected with you right from the very beginning, and you're part of a community that is heavily invested in seeing you finish certification and be a successful practitioner, both financially and emotionally, and in terms of your practice. And so you will, it's ingrained in this webinar tonight. It's ingrained in every part of the program, is that we are a community and we support each other. And that includes making money. So back in the 15, 20 years ago, EFT practitioners were regarded as fringe practitioners and might be making a modest living. Now, a lot of practitioners are making an excellent living and are regarded often as part of the healing mainstream. And so that's all changed radically. In terms of what EFT Universe does, we do a huge amount to support practitioners once they are finished with training. We have an enormous website. The EFT Universe website is one of the most popular alternative medicine websites on the web, and we spend a truly staggering amount of money and effort every month to do that. I, for example, am on podcasts, on summits. I spend a lot of my time just spreading the word about EFT Universe, and that results in literally tens of thousands of people subscribing to our e-list, which is around 200,000 strong. And we purge that list every once in a while as well. It's not 200,000 old people. Like just this month, we've added 40,000 new people as a result of the Global Energy Healing Summit. All of those are people who are exposed to EFT Universe, who are exposed to your work. Our practitioner listings get literally tens of thousands of visitors every month. We put you up on the website and you're there and you're visible. Write articles in the newsletter, and suddenly that newsletter is going out to hundreds of thousands of people who are being exposed to your work. If you want to do virtual sessions, we have Tapping Place, which is about to become an app. And so people can actually literally do sessions with you live in real time, either on Tapping Place right now on the website, soon on the app. So in all of these ways, we nurture you. We have practitioner development calls and a practitioner resources center where there are resources for like how to brand yourself, how to, if you aren't sure about what your specialization is, how to figure that out. So yeah, we invest a lot in making sure you aren't just emotionally successful, you're financially successful as well. It's important to have a career at the end of this. Let's see which questions we haven't answered yet. This is just a really brief one. Can mental health professionals earn continuing ed credits? The answer is yes. CE and CME credits, yeah. CME is for doctors and nurses. CE is for psychotherapists, psychologists, and psychology professionals. Oh, here's a fun one. I don't want to answer this. I want to ask someone else to answer this and see what you come up with, because I have a few good answers, but I want to hear what someone else has to say. Question from Jan. This is just so funny. But not funny, funny, like really poignant. I mean, really, touches my heart. Jan is saying, what if we had not had significant transformation with tapping ourselves? Should we take the program? So, Jan, you tapped, it hasn't worked. Should you sign up? That is a really interesting question. And I'll let any of the mentors who want to chime in on that one, give Jan the benefit of their experience.
I might have a go, then if someone else wants to join, please do. So, that is a perfect reason why you can actually take the certification. So many people will tap with YouTube, and then they'll tap on generic, like a generic tapping. With EFT Universe, you learn clinical EFT. So we teach you how to attend to specific events that created the issue for you, specific to you. And when you tap on those specific events that created an issue for you, then you will transform and you'll get a permanent transformation. And that's what we teach you to do. So if you actually haven't transformed yet, perfect reason why to come into the certification process. You know, when you don't know when a transformation might happen. Like in many of my mentees, they attend the 4-day practice workshop, professional skills practice workshop, and that's where they get their transformation. We have a module inside of those 4 days where we talk about a very cool technique called tile enders. You know, the negative affirmations that stops you actually from your transformation. You know, and once you identify those style enders, like, I don't have time, I'm disorganized, I don't have time, I'm disorganized, you can tap on that tile ender. You find the specific events that created that negative belief, and you can tap it out, take the emotional intensity out of it, and you'll transform that issue, and then your relationship with time will transform. So that is my answer.
You're also going to learn a lot of techniques here. So
Yeah.
maybe even stuck using the techniques you know. Like people watch a YouTube video and then tap along with it and then say, oh, well, it didn't work for me. And like I have one friend, Steve Pavlina, he has a huge blog. And I've talked to him several times about, say, Steve, I'd love you to share EFT on your blog. And Steve says, oh, EFT doesn't work for me. And he just tapped along with some YouTube videos, or he tapped along with somebody when he wasn't really stressed, and so he felt no effect. But he hasn't done anything like go to an EFT workshop or really get into it deep. I'll keep working on Steve, but you're going to learn a lot of techniques here that can help you really tackle things that you thought you couldn't tackle. There were parts of my own life, like I had low-level anxiety my whole life, low-level anxiety. And one day I woke up when it was gone. And I've been tapping for about 10 years at that point. And so it took a long time for that shift with me. With me, a lot of stuff shifted really quickly. I mean, I just tapped away a ton of lifetime stuff, lifetime trauma fast, and a few things took years for me. So it's not a magic bullet, it's not a panacea. Some things you might need to work with a practitioner. I still work with a practitioner. I still hire and pay somebody and do a session with them because I have blind spots. We all have blind spots. You never get done with learning and growth. I'm going to mention one other question, and that only I don't know the answer to. So, Dale, you're asking what percentage of graduates stick with it after graduation? And the answer is that every year we have about 10% attrition. So about 10% of people who've graduated, who become practitioners, about 10% of people drop out for one reason or another. I happened to talk to one last week, and she's just got super interested in a research project she's doing. And so she's just putting her practice aside for a while, going and doing research for a few years. Somebody else I talked to a few months ago, they were dropping their tapping practice, and they've become super involved with transformative art. And I just love the transformative art projects they've been doing. And that's just been the direction of their life, and they've set aside their tapping practice. So every year, about 10% of our graduates, for whatever reason, go off into other things. Some of them retire. It's just kind of a natural attrition of people over the course of as life moves them to the next thing. Most people, though, do stick with it. I mean, once you've learned this healing technique, even if you're just using it on yourself and not with others anymore, you will tend to keep using it. Just looking at other questions over here. Stacy, this is a one-year program. Can it be completed sooner than a year? Kurt, what's your take on that?
Oh, absolutely. Like Miriam completed it in less than a year, and many of my mentees complete it in less than a year, and some take more. You know, so it's going to depend upon you. Before you get into mentoring, everything is completely like online, so it's self-paced, and there's lots of topics. There's lots of quizzes and readings and questions, and it's about 1 to 2 hours per topic that it's budgeted. But if you systematically and strategically devote 4 to 6 hours per week, you can finish I finished in like 7 or 8 months. And I had to take a couple of months off because I was teaching a class. but everybody learns in a different pace, and it's okay. It's a 12-month certification program, and you do get a free 6-month extension. So like you do have 18 months if you need it. And then anything beyond that, you can apply for an extra extension for 500. So I want to be very upfront about that, but it's a 12-month certification with a 6-month leeway, but I have seen people complete it in 4 or 5, and the people who are really dedicated and really applying this and making it their thing complete in less than a year. And people who've done wonderful and who are really great people who help a ton of people have taken 18 months. And so like I don't want to like lock you into a time frame, but you can do it fast or you can do it in 18, but you can do it one way or the other. And then looking at the other questions in the chat, is it recommended to tap with real clients with video or only audio? Zoom is the way to go. Or Google Meets, like everybody that I know that's making money at this and who's doing sessions with people is meeting right on their computer. I do all my sessions with all my people right where I'm sitting right now. And it's a wonderful medium that connects you to all kinds of people. I live in Chicago and nobody knows about this stuff in Chicago right now. It's wonderful.
Chicago yet?
Yeah, it is Chicago. Chicago don't care yet. Maybe they will someday. I mean, I'm here for it when they're ready. But like right now they're not. But like it's more prevalent in other places. But I'm not limited to Chicago. Like I actually haven't worked with anybody in Chicago besides my wife, and that working with your wife is a thing. So like there's an ethics module for that. Let me think about any other questions that I'm seeing here.
Let's do it. I wanted to have Miriam answer this question from Suzanne. Are these sessions one-offs? Do people need only one session to find healing?
Oh, that's a great question, Suzanne. So I've certainly seen these miracle sessions, and where people come and they may have an awareness and not have an awareness of a certain issue, and they tap and it's gone for good. However, the honest answer is this is, in my experience, a rare thing, and especially if people come with deep tissue trauma, the probability that people will be good after one session with deeply ingrained DNA inscripted trauma basically is unlikely. But I've seen other than in kind of cognitive therapies, I've just seen tremendous shifts in clients in one session, and it may come back, but you managed to shave off one layer, and next time you will shave off another layer, and next time you will shave off another layer. And depending how deep your trauma is, that's the amount of sessions it will take. There's no prescription. There's no one answer to this. There's certainly these one-hit wonders. But other than that, I believe that depending on the issue, you will need multiple sessions.
Yes. Yeah, and we used to focus in EFT a lot on what we call just 1-minute wonders. And there are sometimes people with a fear of flying, claustrophobia, sometimes it happens. But if you have, again, what Miriam is saying over here is deep entrenched trauma, it usually takes, it took years to acquire that trauma. You've been practicing being traumatized now for decades. You're not likely to have a 1-minute wonder. It's occasionally possible and happens, but it takes focus and work. I'm going to answer the last couple of questions here, then we'll wrap up our time together. Pascal, you're asking, I'm almost finished. So you took the Self-Transformative Energy Tools online course that counts towards certification. And if you just contact one of our admissions advisors, which you can do by phone or just do them via the website. So go to the link on the site, go to the bottom, type and ask a question. You don't have to repeat that, and you also get the cost of you doing that taken off the cost of certification. Let's see here. And then the one question too that probably I'm best placed to answer, and then we'll wrap up our time together, is may I ask what the average, Suzanne is asking, may I ask what the average income of an EFT practitioner is? I guess it depends on how many clients you have and do you charge per hour. And those that are charging an hour per hour are charging usually between $100 and $200 an hour. That's kind of the going rate right now if they're doing it per hour. We encourage you to develop packages, and the package might be 4 sessions plus some pre-recorded material. I know that's the way I like to do it. Pre-recorded stuff, I don't have to do it uniquely with every client, but it's valuable to the client. So we encourage you to have packages, but if you're looking for an hourly rate, that tends to be what the going rate is. And then people's practices are really interesting. Like some of them have practices that are full-time and overflowing. They're working 50 hours a week. Others, like Jackie Vera Montez, who just has been doing a lot of our training and certification up to this point, had a baby. And she said, Dawson, you won't believe how much having a baby changes your priorities. And she wanted to cut way, way, way back on her work. So she wanted her amount of hours spent with clients to be really limited so she has time for her baby. Other people are really enthusiastic about building a big practice and they want to work a lot more hours. Some people like to work only certain times, like Tina Tran, who we featured in the newsletter. She's Vietnamese and she lives in Canada, but she works with most of the people in Vietnam in their time zone. And she left her corporate career because it was really demanding. She didn't have the time she wanted to have with her children and her husband. And she just works with people in Vietnam. And she has her whole morning set aside for her children and her family. So that totally works for her. So people tend to structure their EFT work life based on their needs. But quite a few practitioners are making 6-figure incomes. They're making a very good living. And we encourage people to think in those terms, that what they're doing is valuable because it is. So I think we'll let's see if there's any other couple more questions here that I want to make sure we cover. Dale, cognitive decline with aging.
Oh, I can do this one.
Okay, go for it.
I have a mentee who lives in a retirement home. And all her sessions are with people that live there who are, in a retirement home. And I can assure you that these people are getting a ton of benefit and there's no cognitive decline from what they're doing. They're processing traumatic events from 30, 40 years ago. And the only thing that they tell my mentee is God, I wish I'd have done this earlier. And then the question from, and do you get any transfer of some effects of people's trauma on you? I'm a person who takes on a lot of people's energies. It's very difficult for me at work. When I go to my regular job, I take on a lot of people's stuff. And then I come home and I do sessions with people in the evening. And I'll tell you, those people tell me all kinds of things and sometimes extraordinarily traumatic things. And when I get done with that session, I feel better than I did when I went into it. And I don't know what it is about it. And I don't know, we can't explain it necessarily, but I'm a person who takes on energy and people can tell me awful things that have happened to them in sessions. And when we come out the other side, we both feel much, much better. So if you're concerned about working with people with trauma that's going to traumatize you, I can tell you from my personal experience, I get more traumatized going to my actual job than I do when I talk about real trauma with real people like in the evenings. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. The transferred PTSD is usually resolved by tapping along. I'm just curious too, Miriam, you work with people who are traumatized. So what's your experience of releasing that?
Within myself, you mean?
Within yourself, yes, it doesn't affect you.
Yes, I experienced it similar than what Kurt just described. The amazing thing about EFT is that I always tap along with my clients, and the amazing thing is that you get to kind of work on yourself. And there's something that Dawson explained to me a while ago, which is called the borrowed benefits. Or boring benefits is when we actually benefit from working with the client and releasing them. But it's certainly something that we all need to take care of. We all need to do self-care. We need to prepare ourselves well for the sessions. We need to come in prepared and with a good energy, and need to do the same after the session. So it's definitely something, if you want to work with deep trauma, that's something to pay attention to and work with.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question we have here is from Claire. How does EFT work alongside other models for trauma and anxiety, like EMDR and internal family systems? Great question, Claire. And EFT is easily layered into other kinds of therapeutic methods. So a lot of our people who get certified are therapists. They've already learned EMDR. They've learned cognitive therapy. Maybe they've learned family constellations or IFS. Or for those of you who don't know what those are parts work. Those are looking at, say, our wounded part, or our scared child, or our adventurous part, or our cautious part. How does the adventurous part who wants to buy a condo deal with the cautious part who says, no, it's too expensive at the top of the market right now? So we have all these voices inside of ourselves, and this all comes from Gestalt therapy, parts work. And so there are a lot of different flavors of it, and IFS, internal family systems, is really popular right now. And so what we do is we layer EFT in. So for example, if you're doing parts work, you would then tap to help one part reconcile with another part. Or you may have a client inhabit one part and tap as that part, and then have another part. One woman I had doing parts work, she was really angry and grief-stricken at her father, who never told her he loved her. And then he died. So now she can never make up with him. And so we did empty chair work. And I put an empty chair opposite her. She imagined her father in the empty chair, and she tapped on the relationship with her father. She then went and sat in that chair, and as her father spoke to the daughter, then we brought in the young version of her. She tapped with the young version of her. So it's really versatile and layers into IFS effectively. And then EMDR. EMDR is primarily for use by a therapist in a safe setting with a client. EFT is defined as self-help. I did grand rounds at Fort Hood, and I also did several tapping circles at Fort Hood. And the therapists there used both EMDR and EFT, and they called EFT take-home EMDR, because you could use it when you were triggered, you could use it when you worked with your therapist, you could use it outside of the office, and it was really powerful that way. So the two work together. A lot of people who train and certify in EFT are also certified in EMDR, and they use the two really easily, effectively together. Those therapists at Fort Hood used primarily EMDR in their live office sessions with veterans with PTSD. They taught them EFT, usually the first session, as a take-home form of EMDR, because you're tapping like you are in EMDR, and there are eye movements like there are in EMDR. So the two methods look very similar on the outside, and the main distinction is in the office or with a licensed mental health professional versus EFT, which is self-help. So if you have any other questions, post them in the bottom of the FAQs at the bottom of the page. We'll put that link there in YouTube again. We'd love to have you join us. And again, you'll know, we find that the people who are meant to be part of this community They just know it right away. As you've heard me, as you've heard our other trainers and mentors share, you just know whether this is for you or not. And so just tune into your heart, really sit with it for a little while. If you are going to, I forgot to mention this at the very beginning, actually, because of all our tech difficulties, but if you do sign up, if you actually enroll today, we're also going to give you a set of 7 meditations called Manifest More with Meditation. These are pretty beautiful meditations. They all fit together. There's 7 of them, and we'll just give you that link to anyone who enrolls in the next few hours. So we'd encourage you to do that soon. And again, you will know it. We'd love to invite you into our community. You'll find we have all kinds of community things going on as well. Like we have monthly community tapping circles. We have regular skills practice calls just for people in certification. We have the Facebook group. We'll have groups in the app soon. And you'll also find that people who go through certification actually often don't leave those groups. So you'll find that a lot of the people in the Facebook group are certified already, and they don't have to be there. And it's been 3 years and they're still there because we're just so close to each other. We're part of this great healing mission. We're just in love with seeing the world reduce its suffering. And that's why we're here. We inspire each other, and we can't help what we're doing. So you'll find that this isn't something you start and then you finish in a year and then it's all over. You'll find you're part of this community of practice ongoing. We also have practitioner development calls regularly where we train you in various new skills and make you aware of new research and new areas of practice. So this is a journey that you'll start now, and you'll find will enrich your life and the lives of those around you for a long, long time. I'm going to tell you, me learning EFT and getting certified and then practicing with others radically changed everything about my life. It changed my relationship with my children and now my grandchildren. It changed my relationship with other people. It changed money. It changed career. It just changed my basic satisfaction with life to where now I wake up every morning and I am so filled with enthusiasm. I can't wait to start the day. I want that to be you, and I want that to be you forever. So please do join us. I'd like to thank Kurt, thank you, thank all of our mentors who've joined us. And again, as we come to the end of our time together, listen to your heart. We'd love to have you if it's the right thing and your heart is calling you. Thanks so much again.